What we have here is the British Matilda II. The British with their tank names. Matilda?
I think it's lovely.
Matilda?
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think it's a really nice name.
Okay. Hmm. It was a very early war British infantry support tank, so slow, heavily armored. Kind of a small gun, although actually at the time fairly normal. We have here the Australia Matilda Frog. Frog.
It was a flamethrower.
Right, this is a flamethrower tank. The jet was powered. It was powered by gas pressure, and the flaw was is you basically had a
Like a
see how
20
big gas.
second.
You had like a short burst of fire, and then you would have to wait 20 seconds to build up air pressure before you could shoot it again.
Which 20 seconds doesn't sound like much, but when you're in battle, it's probably a long,
It's
long
probably a
time.
really, really long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
They only made a handful of these too. Let's say they only made 25.
Lord.
So the museum has a lot of really rare tanks and rare vehicles. So the British Fordson truck. They named it for Henry Ford and Son. Fordson.
I was laughing at this one, because, not laughing at it, but because it has a wood body
Yeah.
and a canvas top. Like, this just seems very fragile for what it was doing.
Agreed. Agreed. And then we have the most delightful little scout car in the world.
So,
Daimler Scout Car Dingo
so I think this is really
by British Daimler.
I think this is a really interesting one because we saw the U.S. one and then we saw the newest U.S. one, and they both were crap.
Yeah.
And then this little guy, which like did the job.
A crew of 2. Because that's all you're going to fit in this little puppy. Look at it. A dingo ate my baby.
You cannot put that on. You have to edit that out.
What?
It's very offensive.
Really?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Because it actually did.
Oh, because the dingo actually did eat her baby?
Yeah.
Oh. Well. That's not how I remember it. Okay. Okay. This is a stag hound. It's actually built by America, but exclusively provided to the British. The American decided to go with the M8 that we saw earlier. The size of these tires. Okay. We have here the German Kettenkraut. A half track, half track?
Half track.
Half it's half track, half wheel.
Yes.
Okay. Right. For one person. Because of course.
This looks like the kind of thing that my friends bought their kids for like four-wheeling.
But the thing is awesome four-wheeling. It does carry 2 passengers.
Okay, see?
So there's that. Can we recall this was featured at the in the final battle in the movie Saving Private Ryan. They needed a decoy to suck the Germans into their ambush, and so they have some people riding on this.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But they say it does have excellent cross-country mobility. So
I mean, it looks like it.
So there's that.
Sure.
Yeah. Little tiny little motorcycle. It's a tiny little thing.
It is.
I assume because it's called an RT 125 that it's probably 125 cc's, which is wee.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's 123 cc's.
Yep. And then the very common Kluber wagon, made by Volkswagen.
Why do all of their commercials skip the war years? We'll never know.
We'll never know. No, the history of Volkswagen started in 1946. Everyone knows this.
And then the staff car, the German staff car, best known, of course, for speed
And
for
comfort.
and chasing that pesky Indiana Jones.
We'll get you, Dr. Jones. Okay. And then over here, we have yet another German 88. I think this makes 3 of them in the museum, which is kind of crazy. With a searchlight. For when the British did their night bombings, you use the searchlight to spot them, I guess. And it comes with its own generator trailer, because you need power to operate the searchlight. So there's a little generator trailer over there. And then the actual 88 itself, which you can see is actually mounted to its wheels, unlike one of the previous ones. This is on the ground. So the wheels actually completely come off to put it in position. And then over here we have a couple of more tools for chasing down Dr. Jones. It's a BMW motorcycle. Which I would get one of these if I could get the machine gun with it.
I don't think that's allowed anymore.
Oh, we're in Utah, honey. It's allowed. Besides, you'd operate the machine gun if we were in this.
That's true, because I am
You'd be in the
sidecar
sidecar.
passenger. Yeah.
So, yeah, it seems like a pretty good deal. I love they put the gauge. Look at this. The gauges are in the headlamp. Isn't that wild?
That's wild.
All right. Okay. So now we're in the Navy Annex. It's actually it's the Dorie Miller Annex, which if you've seen that otherwise forgettable Pearl Harbor movie with Ben Affleck. Yeah. You know the less said about that movie, the better. But if we recall that movie, Cuba Gooding Jr. plays Dorie Miller,
Oh.
who was a messman or steward on the battleship, on a battleship. I can't remember which one. And at some point during the attack, he mans a machine gun and supposedly shoots down some Japanese planes.
Good for him.
Although I think there were so many bullets flying around, nobody knew who was shooting what. Anyway, so this is the Dorie Miller Annex. So it appears to be mostly Navy stuff, as we'll find out coming up. So this is a twin 40mm Bofors anti-aircraft gun. This came off of the destroyer Downs, which there's an iconic picture from Pearl Harbor with a battleship and 2 destroyers that were wrecked in dry dock, and this is one of those destroyers. Or this came off of one of those destroyers. So this is a twin mount, as you can see. Most guns later on in the war were changed to quad mounts, or were having 4 barrels, so it just add more firepower. So this is kind of wild. It replicates the whole actually gun tub mount right here, so you can see the ammunition stacked all around inside. It says this was manned by a crew of 7. So 3 guys actually operating the gun, and then 4 people loading. And got some over here. So right here we have the 20mm Oricon, This is basically just a really, really big machine gun, also for anti-aircraft. We have a 3-inch naval cannon.
So this is from the USS Ward, which was the first shot at Pearl Harbor, because they destroyed a mini sub that arrived hours before the Japanese airplanes arrived. And I mention this because, again, going back to my grandfather, who was a World War II Pearl Harbor survivor, after the battle, and he was shot at Pearl Harbor. He was assigned to go to one of the beaches and be a lookout for mini subs because they thought more mini subs were coming. So he spent several days. They forgot he was there. He spent several days on a beach eating coconuts with binoculars, with his wound bound up, waiting for mini subs. They did not come.
Okay, here we have a shell from a German railway gun, the Schwerer Gustav. So they have a diagram. Obviously, this railroad gun is far too big to be displayed here in the museum. I think Aberdeen Proving Ground used to have one.
Oh.
And it's a German railway gun, I think a much smaller one.
For scale, I'm 5'3".
Yes. So you can see the other vehicles and people in the diorama to get the idea of how big this gun was. It was 155 feet long, 23 feet in width, and 38 feet in height, and weighed 1,350 pounds. It required 4,000 soldiers and 5 weeks to prepare it for action. It could fire once every 30 to 45 minutes.
After 9, it fired 250 rounds, but after 9 shots, the magazine was ruined.
Yeah.
It was not effective, is what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it fired those 300 rounds. It had to be rebuilt. Yeah, there's a lot of energy and effort into this for not a lot of return.
Which is fine, because it was the Germans and they were bad.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have some examples over here. Speaking of bad Germans, this is the German howitzers. This is a 15 centimeter and a 10.5 centimeter howitzers. So these are basically the two standard German field guns of World War II. Interestingly enough, most German artillery, even at the end of the war, it was primarily horse-drawn and not motorized, as contrast to the U.S. Okay, here we have an example of the British 25-pounder. This was their standard artillery piece of the war, with its caisson that carried most of the ammunition right there, and then the prime mover. This is the truck that pulled it all.
It's an adorable truck.
It actually is kind of a cute truck. It's weirdly shaped.
It's very weirdly shaped.
Okay, and over here we have some Japanese artillery with a 75 millimeter on the left and a 105 on the right.
This is going to seem like a weird detail, but look at the handles. Like, look at how finely done the handles are.
That is an interesting detail. Look at these. I mean, look at these wheels. Compare these wheels to like the U.S. artillery. These are wood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Hmm. What?
This is a German Krupp. I looked at the insignia. This is a German Krupp designed weapon. So if you have read The Guns of Krupp about World War I, fascinating study. Highly recommend.
And then we come to this little piece of bonkery right here. There's the Heinkel HE-162 jet fighter.
This is the Acme jet fighter. This is a Daffy Duck going to war jet fighter. This 1000% looks like something should have Acme strapped on it.
I guess the nickname is the Nerve Jangler.
Sure.
This is actually this is an original. So this is an original survivor. Basically is the Germans were running out of materials to be able to build things with. So at the end of the war, they built this as a very small and short and lightweight aircraft. It actually was only operational for less than 3 weeks at the end of the war. And then to complete the bonkery, there's this. The Bachum experimental rocket airplane.
Who looked at this and said, "Oh yeah, that's airworthy"?
Yeah. The Wile E. Coyote, that's who. This was launched vertically.
Oh my god. And in its, this isn't funny, somebody died, but in its single man test flight, the pilot died when the canopy separated.
Yeah, but he was a Nazi, so
But he's
we're
a Nazi,
okay.
so never mind. I'm not sad he's dead.
But the theory was that this would be launched and it would go against the bombers and it would fire all of these rockets, hopefully take down a single bomber, and then it would deploy a parachute and float down to the earth.
This all seems highly unlikely.
Surprised they got one guy to fly it, but they're Nazis, so it was like fly it or die. So again, it's a military vehicle museum, though there are notably light on airplanes and very heavy on tanks.
Sure.
Which is appropriate. But here we have say Piper L4 Grasshopper. This plane was used basically as an artillery spotting aircraft, so it would fly low over the battlefield and spot targets for artillery, and then you'd be able to adjust the artillery fire onto the target you wanted it. Okay, and Canada's contribution is the Canadian recon car Otter, because of course Canada would call it an Otter. It is adorable though. Look at it.
It is so cute, and again, that distinctive shape that we're seeing.
Yeah, why are all the English-made stuff have these weird shapes?
That the Americans didn't really do. We kind of did everything in the same shape because it could then be intermixed, right? Swapped out.
Yeah, the Americans, we tend to like nice flat sides,
We do like flat
which
sides.
are not necessarily good. You actually want the armor to be angled a little bit. Underpowered with poor driver visibility, but it was popular because it was rugged, reliable, and easy to maintain.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. Yay, Canada. And another Canadian, the Fox. I'm sensing a trend. Oh, they later used it for police duties because, of course.
It was heavy and not very maneuverable.
And of course, Canadian motorcycles. Actually, the one on the left is Canadian, and the one on the right is British, although it's the same model. Often used for like dispatch riding, to be able to carry messages and so on and so forth, and reconnaissance as well. The British continued using this model motorcycle into 1971.
If it ain't broke. This is a model of the Little Boy atomic bomb replica, obviously, that they just got in. They just told us they just got this about 3 weeks ago. So, something that is relatively new to the museum. I also wanted to note that they do have an entire gallery on war crimes and those issues dealing with World War II. We did not show it, both because the imagery is upsetting and we were focusing on the vehicles. So, but the museum does cover that in a very respectful and historically accurate way.
We have here the Battle of the Bulge area, display area in the museum. We have here is this is actually a Czech-built post-war half-track, but is based off of the German half-track design from World War II. So that's what this is. This has been painted and slightly modified to replicate the German half-tracks from World War II. So you can see a little different from the U.S. version. Notably, note the angled sides.
And that was a personnel carrier?
Yep. Yeah, this is basically the German half-track version of the U.S. half-track. Then we have the Hetzers, a German tank destroyer. Most German tank destroyers were actually turretless, compared, as in contrast to the U.S. ones, which basically went with a lot lighter armor to make them faster. The Germans would actually often make them more, not this particular version, but a lot of German tank destroyers were actually very heavily armored, but they were turretless. So you had only a very small movement of the gun, and that was basically make so they could a little more simpler to build, okay, and faster, and you could put more armor on since you didn't have the weight of the turrets. So this over here is a Jagdpanzer 38 or Hetzer. These are actually built in Czechoslovakia. The Allied bombings had decimated the German tank manufacturing in Germany, and so they more or less outsourced it to Prague. There's already a factory that was making an obsolete Czech tank pre-war. So so one of the reasons for the small size of this is to match the chassis size from that older obsolete version.
Oh, so they didn't have to change that much.
They didn't have to,
production
yep,
faster.
Exactly.
Got it.
Right here we have the M4A3E2, nicknamed Jumbo. So these are basically Shermans with what extra armor added onto it, and a 105 millimeter howitzer. We only built 254 of these, and only 5 are now known to exist. So this is one of 5. That extra armor came at a cost. Its maximum speed was only 22 miles an hour.
That's going to be problematic.
So that's pretty slow. And here's kind of an odd duck right here. This is kind of more or less designed to look like a German Panzer III, although the placard says that this was based off as a British chassis. From here, yeah, it's a restored British FV432 chassis, so it's not sure what parts are original German and what parts are British anymore. I assume the turret is German. But and then we have another M18, which we saw earlier in the great big rotunda, although this exact tank was actually commanded by Sergeant Don Brian Holt of Tooele, Utah. He was also awarded a Silver Star, a Bronze Star, and a Purple Heart.
And this exact one was sent to relieve the Battle of Bastogne.
Yep. Okay, so here's the Iwo Jima exhibit right here. So what we have right here in the center is the Marine Corps M4A3R5. Are you get tired of all the M4 blah blah blah
There's
blah
so
stuff?
many.
There's so many.
So many.
So many.
They need nicknames.
Like Zippo.
Exactly.
Yes. So this was a flamethrower tank. So they basically designed it to be used as a a flamethrower. You could shoot the flame 150 yards. Um, in the words of a Marine commander on Iwo Jima, it was the flame tank more than anything that won the battle.
Yeah.
Because you have here we got the man portable version, which was had some problematic issues. Life expectancy of the operator being one of them.
Yeah, 4 minutes was the life expectancy of an operator
Yeah,
of that.
yeah, because it was really obvious that it was being used. So the tank, yeah, put it mounted on the tanks, and over here we have on the left, we have a Sherman Stewart version of the early model of the flamethrower, right there. But it had some problems, so they converted the Shermans here, and then of course we have the LVT-4, which we saw the passenger version earlier on, and this one is basically the armored tank version of it, or they put the turret and a small short barrel howitzer on top instead of the crew compartment.
Oh, I legitimately didn't realize that was the same vehicle.
Yeah, yeah.